So, time on the show to turn our attention to Matlock Town Football Club in the Northern Premier League Premier Division. And I'm now joined by a very special guest. I'm joined by Matlock Town Chairman Jay Beaumont. But, in the news, in the local news within the past few days, I guess it's now Outgoing Chairman, as Jay very recently confirmed that he'll be leaving as the Gladiators Chairman at the end of this season. So, Jay, thanks for coming on. I know you must have had, I know every week's busy, which I'm sure we'll discuss in more detail very soon, but thank you for coming on. I guess the first question is, for anyone that hasn't read or hasn't had time yet to have a look at the club press statement about your decision, why is the end of this season the right moment, you think, for you to step down as Matlock Town's chairman, and how tough was it to make this decision?
Yeah, okay. Firstly, good evening, Matt. Thanks for asking me for a discussion. Always nice to have a catch up with you. In terms of the news this week, look, it's kind of been a really difficult decision for me on a personal level, and as a family as well. Matlock Town means so much to me, as we've spoken about, kind of on many occasions, either via an interview or just at the ground, that having watched the club for over 40 years, I first joined the board in 2002 and done lots of things over those years. And, in 2022, in the spring, when I was asked if I would consider becoming chair, it was a big decision then. And it was a big decision as to, have I got time? Is it the right time in life? Should we do it? And, in consultation with the family, we decided it was the right time. Is there really a right time? I knew that I was busy. I was doing 4 days a week then. But one of the key driving factors in the decision at that time to take it was, those who know me, know that I watch football with my father. And I've done for many, many years. We go all over watching. And I always kind of said at the time, you know what? I knew that one day I'd become chairman of Matlock Town. And I didn't want to get to do it and then say, I wish Dad was here now to see me do it. And it was one of the big motivators at the time to say, I will make time, and now is the right time. Over the 2 years, it's been fantastic, been a fantastic ride. And, I've thrown everything at it. But in that time, and particularly in the last 6 months or so, things have changed at work, and things have got a heck of a lot busier at work. So, being chairman of a football club at step 3 is a busy role, far busier than I ever appreciated, if honest. I don't think that until you've done it, you realise just what it involves. You can have ideas. People do. Lots of people think that it's really easy and that you can just do this and do that. But it's more challenging, and the time pressures. Not that there's loads of difficult things to do, but there's always someone after a bit of your time and after a bit of you. And to do the job right and do the job that the football club deserves and requires, you need to make yourself available 7 days a week, and that's what I've done over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, work has become really exciting again. I've taken on a new business in Holland, taken on other responsibilities as well. Just means I just haven't got the same amount of free time, and I'm not around all of the time to be able to answer the phone to the football club 7 days a week and through the day and so on. Something had got to give. And so I'd got a full-time job that was getting busier, and I'd got a full-time job at Matlock Town Football Club that was really busy. And, as I said to Helena in November time, we were talking about it, and something's got to give. And the thing to do was to say, right, okay, for the football club, it's not about me. For the football club, the right thing to do is to say to the football club, we need somebody else to lead it day to day who can put that time in, and let me focus on other parts of the football club that I can fit around my workload.
And from what I gather, though, from the press release as well, from the statement that the club made, you will still actually, after the end of this season, still play a role at Matlock Town. So I understand that you will actually be a director still at the club. Does that mean you'll still be on the board, or how will that
100%. Work? Yeah, so 100%. So I will still be an active member of the exec. So I'll still be a director, still be on the board. For me, as I say, the bit of the role I'm really struggling with is being there, being available day to day. When when Martin suddenly says, I've got an opportunity for a player, or when somebody comes in for one of our players, when somebody needs you for something where a decision needs making, that's the bit that I'm not flexible enough anymore to be able to just be available as and when. For example, when the Johnny Margetts thing came up, I was in the middle of Kenya on a business trip without any signal. So until I got back to the airport at Nairobi, I was blissfully unaware that Kings Lynn had come in for Johnny Margetts. And, so things like that really kind of, in my mind, cemented the fact that I've made the right call, because the club needs to be able to deal with those things when they come up. So what I'm going to be doing going forwards is, people will see a big part of what I've done in my time as chair is all about developing the club, driving the club and growing the club. We announced in the AGM for the 21-22 season that I chaired the AGM, but it was the last season of Bryn being chair. I announced that we'd had record turnover that year of £343,000. We then grew this year by 46.4% in the first year, and we've grown again since then. So, my bit and what I do in business, it's about growing, it's about turning things around. So for me, is that club development director arena. That's where I'm going to focus my time. I can fit that around work, because if I'm busy next week, I can do the meeting the week after with whatever partners or whoever it is we're needing to talk to. So that's where I'll be focusing my effort. And the new chairman will pick up the being available day to day to deal with everything else, all being well.
Yeah, so, that kind of leads into my next question, Jay. So about the next chairman, because of course, I'm sure every Matlock Town fan will be, once they've digested the news, they'll be thinking, well, I'm sure they already are thinking, well, who will the next chairman or chairwoman be of the club? So where sort of does the club go from here? I understand you might be a bit limited as to what you might be able to say, but is there someone already earmarked for the role? Is there someone already involved at Matlock Town that could step into that role? Or are you looking for someone externally to come into Matlock Town?
Yeah, so I guess first answer is no, there's nobody lined up purposely, because one of the things that attracts so many people to Matlock Town is the fact that we're owned by the fans. If you're a season ticket holder, you are one of the members, effectively owners of Matlock Town Football Club. So it's not as if we've gone out there to find kind of someone to sell the club to, as would ordinarily be happening when a chairman disappears. It's a new chairman coming in who's buying the club or whatever. With us, so we spoke about when do we announce it, and we said, well, probably the best time is at the AGM, because we've got all the members there. All the members are invited. We can announce it then, and basically we've said, let's throw it open. Let's open it up to applicants. That ideally by the end of February, anybody who's interested, make contact, make us aware of your intention, come and have a chat. If somebody wants to understand more about the role, what it entails, have they got the skill set, have they got the time, I'll just be really open with them about kind of what I've found, what you need, what the challenges are, what the opportunities are. And all you need to do is be a season ticket holder. So somebody could come along tomorrow, buy a season ticket, and they're in with a shout of being chair. And then it'll go through a selection panel. So as they've made us aware, the exec will do a selection panel, and then people will be elected into the role. So it's open to anybody. If it's something of interest to yourself, Matt, all you would have to do is make me aware of the interest. And, obviously then it's right, okay, become a season ticket holder and you could become chairman.
Jay, I'm already losing my hair very, very quickly. I think being chairman of the Gladiators, or indeed any football club, would kill my hairline off completely. So I already can confirm I am not applying for that vacancy. But just in terms of your own time then as chairman at the club, because of course it hasn't ended yet. Apart from sort of like the growth that you've just mentioned before, what would you say have been, you would regard as the successes in your time as chairman, but also what you're looking to achieve between now and the end of this season?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things. So at the AGM, we outlined a few things on Monday night. So that was the AGM for the 22-23 season. So if we think back, lots of things were happening. We've spoken in the past about the challenging financial time we found ourselves in, kind of back when I took over. So really proud about the fact that we're now sustainable. The kind of finances have turned around and in a really good, strong place. And I think that is probably one of the things I'm most proud of. And it's not just about the growth in turnover and the numbers; it's the way in which it was done. And when you look at the team of volunteers, that bank of volunteers has expanded over the past couple of years. The demographic of the volunteers has changed massively. So we now have 2 females on the board of Matlock Town. It was years where there were no females involved in Matlock Town. And to be fair, in a lot of clubs, females not being on the boards and so on. So breaking down that, bringing the ladies team to Causeway Lane, getting the under-21s going again, and just seeing the place thriving, seeing all the juniors being there on match day and so on. All of that really kind of ingraining into the community and building a committee that's there for the future and ready to build from. I think that's been something that I've been extremely proud of. And then add to it some of the other developments. So little things like electronic ticketing, being able to promote a game and sell tickets. Last season, selling out the Chesterfield game, selling out the Derby game in pre-season. The previous year, selling out the Chesterfield game via using e-ticketing. Season ticket sales increasing. So I think 22-23, I think it was 223 season tickets, up from about 107 the year before. So, kind of all of those things that are just building for the future, putting the right things in place, little things that fans wanted around, getting another T-bar on Causeway Lane side, getting that in place for them. So some kind of really, really key things there that have really stepped on. And then, other things that are happening. So, we've been working closely with Derby County, with their community trust over probably the last 18 months. And, we've announced we're launching an education programme on Cavendish Fields in September. So, again, another great step forward for the club, getting into the community, helping the kind of the school leavers get into further education, but within Matlock, not in a school environment. And there are more things coming with that very, very soon that prior to me stepping down, we'll be announcing some more exciting developments as well with partners. So lots that I'm looking back on thinking, we've done a good job there.
Okay. Now, I know, for quite a lot of Matlock Town fans listening to this conversation, of course, they'll have heard a lot there about what's been happening off the pitch, but I'm sure that they'll probably be shouting at the radio now saying, that's great. What about on the pitch? So I know this season's been tough for Matlock and for Martin Carruthers. And a lot of it has been a bit unfortunate because obviously the club has had so many injuries. Of course, Johnny Margaret's leaving was a huge blow, but of course he was offered, professional full-time football. It has been tough, and it will be a monumental effort if Matlock are going to get into the top 5 now for this season. What have you made sort of sometimes of fans, I would say some fans' criticisms online? Because I know some people have said performances should still be better because Matlock have been in the playoffs for the past 2 seasons and it's likely that they're not going to do it this time around. Do you think some of those criticisms are valid, or do you think that, as you said before, it is harder than a lot of people think and that there are reasons why this season might not be as successful as the past 2 have been? Yeah,
so I think look, you look at the kind of the previous season, it was challenging. We had 3 managers that season, and that day in Marine with the win at the end of the season to get into the playoffs, fantastic day, and that was it was a great day, and for me personally, after all of the hard work that went in that season to stabilise the club financially, to work our way through kind of rebuilding a squad and getting a squad to a financial level that the club could afford and so on. We had to sell a few players to bridge the gap through the season to make it so that, the club was still around and still surviving. Some difficult decisions that as a fan, I didn't want to make, and this is what's sometimes forgotten is as chairman of Matlock Town Football Club, yes, I'm chairman. All that means is I volunteer my free time to help the club. I'm a fan. I'm a season ticket holder. I've been a fan for 40 odd years. Did I want to see us selling the likes of Reece Kendall, Ryan Qualter, Al Burns? No, absolutely. They were great players. So I didn't want to, but the club, it needed to. And I said at the AGM the other day, it's kind of part of being chairman isn't about making friends and making everyone happy. You want to do that, But ultimately, it's about making sure the club's there in the future days, weeks, and months and years ahead. So I had to do some of that. So going back to it, getting there, getting to the playoffs, massive reward, and it was just kind of almost a moment where it was very emotional, because it's like, God, we've done loads of work this year, and this is now right. We've got into the playoffs. Obviously, disappointing night out at Warrington, but that was it. Coming into this year, I think, did we think that we were going to be building a squad for promotion? Yes. The budget remained the same. It was still a strong, healthy budget. It's always tricky. Any transfer, you've got an idea of what's coming in, and you think that it's all going to work. It doesn't always. And I think there's just been, some of the performances have been absolutely fantastic this year, and other ones it's just like it's not quite worked and it's not quite happened. Somewhere we've just been caught with a sucker punch, and it just seems to be one of those seasons. I think the other side is as well, we need to sometimes acknowledge the fact that there's some clubs in our league this year with a lot higher spending power than ourselves. And, we are a club that we can't just suddenly go and say to somebody, can you just throw us another X £1,000 to buy this player and put an extra X hundreds or thousands of pounds on the wage bill? We've got the money that we earn, and that's it. There isn't another pot of cash. And this sometimes, I scratch my head. I said at the AGM the other night, when I hear fans saying we're not ambitious and why don't we do this, I'm left scratching my head thinking, where does the money come from to do it? We run that club to, the target is to break even. We don't go into the overdraft. We haven't got an overdraft, but we also haven't got £1 million sat in the bank. So we run to break even. We earn all of our money. And, okay, what do? Do we put the ticket prices up to 17 quid, same as Macclesfield? Do we suddenly charge 300 quid for a season ticket? Because I think we could do those things. But I personally believe that if we did that, we'd have a lot more outroar. And we'd also, I think, our turnover and kind of the cash that we'd got would diminish from where we are now, because people would stop coming in the numbers because it'd be too expensive, and it would be too expensive at that. So it's a difficult one. There's a lot of money being spent in the division this year, and we've got some big clubs in there. And do we want to be up there? Of course we do. Are we trying to be up there? We're going for players. We're still going for players. We've been trying to get players over the line. And then you suddenly hear certain names are in the frame, and you just think, we haven't got a chance against them to get this player. Martin's great at he'll kind of charm them with the talking. I'll talk to the players if needs be about the club and what it stands for. And some we get. Scotty Bowden was a great example of that. He was talking to clubs at higher level, but he loved what we were telling him about Matlock. Some other players don't do that. They'll go for the money. So yeah, it's a difficult one. We'll still go for it. We talk to Martin all the time. We're still going for it. We'll get as high as we can, but it's been tough this year.
Yeah, and I think this season, again, particularly in non-league, it's underlined how fine the line is between success and failure. And what I mean by that is, I know a lot of people, a lot of Matlock fans, including myself, would absolutely love to see Matlock Town in step 2. It would love to see them in step 1 of non-league football and compete right in the National League. But you also look at where clubs have really gone for it and now literally aren't playing. And I'm looking at teams like Marsk United, who literally had to resign from
Nuneaton, another one.
Yeah, and obviously they're not the only club that's in danger of stuff like that happening to them as well. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, does Matlock Town, does it have the right platform now to build on to go and win promotion within, not saying like within the next 12 months, but, within the next few years? Do they now have the right platform with which to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I really believe so. So, the club is stabilised. The budget remains the same as it was last year. Already, and we've stabilised it, and the year before, when first time at that higher level of budget. We struggled that year. We've then stabilised it. We've been able to maintain the level of budget over the last couple of seasons. And when you look as it keeps on growing, as it has done this last 2 years, and we've got more things that we're announcing soon that should see that grow even further, then absolutely, that's kind of a part that myself, Graham Mumby, in particular, are looking at in terms of how can we develop the club going forwards to generate more revenue. I listened to Stephen Pearce the other night on Radio Derby and talking about the fragility of football at all levels, where it's reliant on a chairman pumping cash in. You're one decision from the chairman to step down, step away, stop funding the club, and within days or weeks, the club's disappeared, or it's in risk of disappearing. Matlock isn't in that place. Everything that it pays its own bills, pays everybody on time, and it's all done sustainably from earned revenue, from sponsors, from season ticket sales, from income from the bar, from the T-bar and everything else. Nobody's pumping cash in. They're not reliant on any individual. Just keep doing the right things, keep doing more of it, and just grow and grow. And that's the sustainable path to continue to grow. So, yeah, it's in a really good place. Looking forward to working with the new chairman on continuing that journey.
Yeah, and I think just a lot of it just comes from so many people care about the club. And I think I'm right in saying that Matlock have been a part of the NPL ever since it first originated, I think in 1968, I think it was. So I think a lot of it comes from the fact that Matlock are quite rare in that they're a team that always seem to be in the same division. There aren't really many promotions or relegations. But I guess the last thing just to mention as well is I know that you mentioned before about Martin still looking for players, because I'm sure fans will want to know as well. Matlock's squad at the moment is pretty threadbare. There's not much left, especially up front in the final third, especially now that Johnny Margetts has gone as well. Is there still time this season, and are the clubs still able to bring more players in? Is that still a possibility, or are Matlock having to sort of stick to what they already have at the moment for the remainder of this season?
we thought we'd got another striker last Friday, and then the player wanted a bit more time to think about it. We're still hoping to get that deal done, but in the meantime, some other names have come into the frame as well that have become available. One just this afternoon, and which we're excited that if we could get them, it'd be an exciting signing. We don't know if we can, but we're trying. And so we're still looking. The bit of this moment, just to give fans an insight into some of the thinking that goes off. So we're sat here now in February. We go and sign a player, and that player doesn't just want something till the end of this season. They want something for next season as well, because they don't just want to come in for, final 2 or 3 months. So in that, our thinking has got to be, okay, right, we want them then. But actually, are they part of next year's plan? Because we'd already got a plan. We might have already had an idea that in the summer we're going to go for this player because we know they're out of contract. Right, but if we get this one now, we can't do that one in the summer. How do we do it? So you're constantly juggling and trying to see, right, it's what do I want now? I'd like this. But, we thought Johnny Margetts was here for the season, so we thought we were sorted. And this is just a couple of the plans. It's like we're looking for a Johnny replacement, somebody who can come in and score 30 goals a season, the same. They're not just going to come along for a couple of months and they're not readily available. So for us to get them, it's got to be a big deal and obviously sign them in for that amount of time. So it's a real challenge for us at the moment because we've got people available. Is it the right person? Does it all fit in? And then suddenly another name comes along and it's like, oh, if we could get that one done, actually, that is one we'd want for next season. And it's juggling our way through it and just trying to get the right ones over the line. But there's, we're hopeful. We're hopeful that we'll be getting them in, but with an eye on next season as well, that the people we're bringing in are people who we can start building around next year's squad as well.
Okay. Oh, well, fantastic, Jay. Thanks so much for your time and for going into a lot of detail as well about the decisions and also just about exactly what's happening at the club right now and looking to the future. So thanks for your time, Jay. I'll let you get on now because I appreciate you probably had a very, very busy week. So, but I'm sure we'll speak again. So, of course, you're not leaving the club altogether. You will be a director. Absolutely. So, thanks for your time, Jay.
Yeah, no, you're welcome, Matt. And as, I guess the final thing for me, just to anybody out there, seriously, kind of regardless of the experience of leading a football club, if it is something, if you have got a thought, I might fancy that, just feel free just to get in touch with me, drop me an email, drop me a text, give me a call or whatever. I'll happily have a coffee with anybody who's got a serious interest in doing the role. I'll be really open, explain kind of the good and the bad, because there's both in the role, and and just put your name in the hat. Come and have a chat, and let's see. You never know, and the more people we can get involved in the club, the better. We can spread it, and we can just keep growing this fantastic club.
Okay, great stuff, Jay. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks, Matt. You take care.